All right, guys, welcome back to another podcast on MMAUnhinged today. I'm once again joined by Oscar Silva. How's it going?
It's going fantastic over here in Chicago, Illinois. We had Patty Bimblett and Molly McCann visit us over here, and they really enjoyed themselves. I think you should learn from them and come visit the Windy City sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it on Instagram. Obviously, they've been to Chicago. It looked like they went to see Elton John, if I'm correct.
Yes, yeah, he was in town. Yeah, I thought Elton John had his retirement tour like a couple years ago, but apparently he's back and he's still releasing those hits.
Yeah, it was looked like a good show in a big stadium. Obviously, I'm not too fond of what that stadium was.
I believe it was a Soldier Field.
Is that a football ground?
Yeah, it's a football field where the Chicago Bears play.
Oh, okay, got you. I mean, when we talk about football, obviously talking about American football here.
Yeah.
Over here, football, obviously soccer, but you know how that goes. But yeah, we had some fights this weekend, and they were fantastic. 10 finishes, 10 fights and 10 finishes. The second ever time in UFC modern history. The first time was obviously UFC in 2014, Bisping versus Rockhold #1.
Yeah, and I saw that card last year, and it was crazy. The pacing was so much fun because you just add the fights going back to back to back nonstop. It didn't feel like a chore to watch. That was the same thing for this card. There were a lot of unnecessary commercials and commentator breakdowns because they had to fill that time. But the fights themselves over delivered massively to me. We even had Corey McKenna versus Miranda Granger, which I was certain would go to decision. We had the first female Von Flue choke. So this card was bonkers, and I really can't wait to
Yeah,
break.
absolutely. Watching it live was obviously fantastic, and I was thinking, surely this one's not going to get finished. And after 5 finishes in a row, I was thinking maybe this could go all the way.
Yeah, and for Vicente Luque versus Jeff Neal, I thought it would be Luque getting the finish in the third round, but it was actually Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal somehow finds a way to knock out the unknockoutable Vicente Luque. Luque has been in a fight where he took the record for the most significant strikes in a welterweight fight against Brian Barberena, and he did not go down. So for Jeff Neal to do that is a true accomplishment, and it really shows that Jeff Neal is now ready to make a title win, in my opinion.
Absolutely, we'll get to that fight in a short few moments. But we're starting top of the bill, and I've just realised I've got the wrong screen actually up. But yes, the main event obviously was Jamal Hill versus Thiago Santos, a fantastic main event, and Jamal Hill getting the better of the Brazilian.
Yeah, UFC Vegas 59 was headlined by Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill and Thiago Marreta Santos. On this show, I picked Thiago Santos, but people talked me out of that pick. Thiago Santos is in a clear decline, and he had a style where he probably would fall behind on the judges' scorecards. But what I had no idea that Thiago would do is wrestle. I had no indication that led me to think that Thiago would wrestle, but that shows you how dangerous Jamal Hill is on the feet. But I do have to commend Thiago for returning to his old ways. He fought like a madman, and he had some success doing so. I really think he got Jamal Hill with some good shots. In round one, he landed the heaviest strike of the fight. It really busted up Jamal, and that won him the first round. And then in round two, we see more of the same, but Thiago starts going for some takedowns, doesn't get any of them, and Jamal Hill does more damage on the feet in round two. But round three, that was a fascinating round because Thiago turns into a straight up relentless wrestler. He goes for countless takedowns until Jamal Hill eventually gives them up, and he got 6 total takedowns in this fight. And it wasn't like he was getting them easily. He was exerting himself the whole way. And in my personal opinion, I thought that was a bad game plan because Thiago is so not used to grappling. It really tired him out. So much so that he turned his back and left himself vulnerable to strikes from Jamal. And come round four, he was cooked. Jamal Hill was very tired as well, but it was Thiago that was really exerting himself with the takedown attempts. So Jamal Hill was able to drop Thiago, hit him with ground and pound until the ref pulled him off. And Jamal Hill now has gotten himself his biggest win, and he now has a ranking within the top 10. And Jamal Hill now has proved that he can hang with the top dogs because don't forget, Thiago had a split decision with the greatest of all time.
Absolutely, a close split decision. Arguably, people could have gave him that fight that day, but yeah, as you talked about, Jamal Hill goes to number 6 in the rankings, and then obviously we've got Mills in the chat saying, "Wait, I know this, mate. I think I know you, Mills, too. Go check out MMA Locker Room over there. He's doing good things. Interviewing over at Pub Sports Radio, and he's got a betting show, but I can't remember the name of it. And top of my head, so I'm sorry, Mills, but maybe put in the chat and I'll put it back up. But yeah, he's got a betting show. Go check out. He does some good bets over there. But yeah, Jamal Hill did what he needed to do. Ranked number 6 in the world. Incredible. A fantastic win. Both guys, as you talked about, were absolutely knackered, and it just seemed who had that little bit more left in him to get that finish.
Yeah, and that was Jamal Hill. I really thought that this fight would be longer than a lot of people thought. A lot of people were thinking Jamal Hill would get a quick finish, and he did not. And I recommended people bet the over 3.5 rounds. And if you look at that right there, it was a second over that time. That's absolutely wild. I was thinking that I just had fallen on bad luck, but 1 second over the time, and that over 3.5 cashes at plus money.
Absolutely, a fantastic main event, and it obviously topped off a fantastic event as well. And the co-main event, we topped on it briefly before. Obviously, we talked about the main event. This was fantastic, and we talked about how good Luke was last week, and how durable he was, and how many shots he'd taken. But Jeff Neal looked like a man possessed this night, and he got the knockout.
Yeah, so Vicente Luque, he said it himself. He always trusts his chin. He knows he's got maybe the best chin in the UFC, but eventually that chin has got to crack when you fight with that kind of a reckless style. Not that Luque was super reckless in the fight. In fact, I would say that Luque was less aggressive than I've seen him in some of these wars. In this fight, he did have his hands up, but he was ripe for the taking because his guard could be split right through by straight punches, and that's what got him. He kept on getting tagged repeatedly, and the damage wore him down. And in round 1, I scored that a 10-8 because Vicente Luque was on very wobbly legs. He looked practically done to me at the end of the round. He got knocked down in that round. And then in round 2, Jeff Neal really slowed it down. It appeared to me that he was scared of getting fatigued because he's had some major issues with his cardiovascular system from diseases. And come round 3, his coach made sure that he returned to his aggressive ways. And Jeff Neal finds like 6 uppercuts in a row. And Luque was so wobbly. The majority of guys would have already been out by the time Luque got finished. So Luque face plants, his body was just done. When you take that kind of damage, it's basically impossible not to get knocked out. Because Jeff Neal, his nickname is Hands of Steel for a reason. He cracked Mike Perry's chin. Mike Perry had one of the best chins we've seen, and he knocked out Mike Perry. So Jeff Neal is not a guy you want to trust your durability with, because he puts away world-class fighters, and he's got a win over number 4 Bilal Muhammad right now. So I think Jeff Neal really has a claim at fighting a guy ranked above him right now.
Absolutely. I'm not too sure what rank they gave him this week.
I think he got ranked like right outside of the top 5. Like I think he got ranked number 6 to number 8, something like that.
Well, as you talked about, a big fight next. I believe he called out Gilbert Burns, so maybe that's one to make next.
Yeah, he got ranked at number 8. So Gilbert Burns said, if Jorge Masvidal does not accept the fight later this year, I will fight Jeff Neal. So I think it's likely that Masvidal accepts that Burns fight because he wants to fight Conor. Conor just signed on to do a remake of Roadhouse for Amazon Prime Video. So I think Conor's going to be very busy. He will not be fighting until like probably spring of next year.
Absolutely. As you talked about there, Conor out for a bit, getting that stuff done. But yeah, fantastic win for Jeff Neal. Inserting himself back into that top 5, top 10 of the weight of the division, which was crazy because a few fights back, he was getting jabbed to bits against Neil Magny.
Yeah, that was a very underwhelming performance. I thought he would do what he did to Luque in this fight, just knock him out. But it was clear to me that he was scared of getting fatigued, and he did get fatigued in that fight. And Neil Magny is a master at outlasting guys and punishing them. That's what he did to Jeff Neal. I think if they run that back right now, I think he destroys Neil Magny.
Absolutely agree. I feel like obviously after this performance, the confidence in his ability will just thrive under his performance. So yeah, fantastic performance to Jeff Neal, and we'll swiftly move on to the tough 30 heavyweight final between Muhammad Usman and Zach Pauga. And last week we were so confident Zach Pauga was going to win this. Obviously we believed in his ability, and that obviously we thought that he was better than Muhammad Usman, and then Usman absolutely shut the lights out, which was surprising, obviously, because he had 2 split decisions on the Tough House. So when he needed it most, he produced.
Yeah, this was just super shocking to me because Usman looked awful in the house. He fought 2 low-level heavyweights, and he barely beat him by split decision. And in those fights, he was just winging big hooks, trying to get these quick KOs, and he didn't land those blows that are necessary to finish the fight. But in this fight, he was doing the same thing. So I was thinking round 1 was going to be a copy for rounds 2 and 3. And in round 1, Usman just didn't let his hands go enough. And when he was letting them go, he was just being wild. Didn't have much technique behind it. Meanwhile, Zach Pauga is outstriking him clearly and winning with his leg kicks as well. So I thought Zach Pauga was about to outpoint him. But at heavyweight, one punch really changes the game. And that one punch was a short left hook. And Zach Pauga went down immediately, got hit with 2 vicious hammer fists, and it was over. I really was impressed by Usman's power, because if you watch him on the show, you probably wouldn't even think he hits all that hard. But maybe those guys just had good chins. But for Zach Pauga, I think this is a cruel reminder that he's a light heavyweight. He can't take punches from heavyweights like Muhammad Usman. Pauga even said himself he doesn't think he's championship material at heavyweight. He thinks he's championship material at light heavyweight. And this kind of showed it here. You're not going to get into the upper echelon if you can't take punches from these guys. And for Zach Pauga, you definitely see that he's a light heavyweight. He is undefeated at light heavyweight, so I think you got to move down for him. I assume he got signed off of this because he is damn good. He showed it in round 1, but he just can't take those punches from heavyweights.
Absolutely agree. I do believe that now the drop is to go back down to light heavyweight, where obviously before he got to the UFC, he fought Marcus Perez, who obviously formerly fought inside the UFC, got the win that night. So that's where I think obviously it is the most. That's where I feel like I think it's the what am I looking for here?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think.
He just
Sensible. There you go. The most sensible decision.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out, but yeah, one heavyweight final, one tough final, and we'll swiftly move on to another final. Heavyweight division, moving over to the women's flyweight division, and we were really tough on Juliana Miller in this one. We thought that she wasn't going to get the win. We thought Brogan Walker would have the experience and obviously the striking. She gets way hit too much, and we were way off, to say the least. Oscar is currently away, but yes, Brogan Walker. It didn't seem like she turned up this night. Juliana Miller really shocked me with this performance. She dominated Brogan start to finish. The elbows, the control time, the grappling, the striking. Brogan Walker really never got into this fight, and she showed that. Even though the experience was there, she was different level on the fighter on the night as well. A fantastic performance from Juliana Miller. Interesting to see where she goes. Oh, she's a tough final now. Oscar has a quick emergency, but yeah, fantastic performance, Juliana Miller, getting it done. A fantastic performance. I'm a little bit stumbled here, but it's the first time we have to deal with this one. But there's not always a clean show on this MMA Unhinged podcast. But yeah, Julian Miller getting it done. It's a fantastic event. Obviously, the main card was actually absolutely stunning as well. So Julian Miller getting it done, putting on a fantastic performance against Brogan Walker, who really never looked like to get into that fight. The striking, obviously, of Miller, the grappling of Miller was just too far superior. And she's got a decent future ahead of her, only 26, I believe. So. There's a long way to go for Gianna Miller. Only 4-1 in her career. She avenged her only lost on the Tough House. So, the only way is up for Gianna Miller. And that's it. We'll move on quickly. This one's going to go as quick because obviously we don't have Oscar here as well to give his analysis and his talk. But Augusto Sakai, I said it to Oscar last week. I said you can't trust this guy. I don't know what it is. I think he's on a downward spiral, and Sergey Spivak, I believe I said he would probably be too much for him, and we'd see a finish. And Spivak was just like a demolition man. Went in there, punches, his grappling, it was phenomenal. Obviously, he hurt Sakai. A bit of punches, and obviously the grappling as well. The way he controls Sakai, which I thought he would have that edge in, and obviously got the Tico finish. A phenomenal performance from Spivak. Obviously coming off that Tom Aspinall loss, coming off the Greg Hardy win in his last fight. So that's 2 back-to-back now for him. It'd be interesting to see where he goes from here. But Augusto Sakai, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's gone wrong recently, but there's something that needs to change. Once touted as a good prospect until we ran into, off the top of my head, I can't remember. He ran into someone and suffered a knockout loss, and since then, as I talked about, it just went down a downward spiral. But yeah, fantastic performance for Sergey Spivak. His grappling looked good, and obviously he's striking, seeing some improvements. So it's good for him. We're seeing him get some good results, and we'll move on to the main card opener between Terrence McKinney versus Eric Gonzalez. It was phenomenal. Terrence McKinney, obviously, off the back of his last fight, had to fight Drew Dober. Came in there a little bit reckless. Didn't get the finish. He got finished. It was bittersweet for Terrence McKinney because he had his opportunity in that fight and they didn't really take it. Drew Dober managed to turn it around and get the finish. And I said last week about Terrence McKinney, I said it might go to the second round. And Oscar was like, are you stupid? And I was like, I don't know what it is. I feel like we might see a more patient Terrence McKinney. Maybe he's learned from his mistake in his last fight. Oh dear, was I wrong. Terrence McKinney went in there and he went for the kill in that first round, and obviously got the rear naked choke in the first round too. He was just better than Gonzalez. Terrence McKinney is so well rounded, it's ridiculous. He can take the fight pretty much anywhere he likes. That's what's really good about Terrence McKinney. He obviously called up Paddy Pimblett after that one, which is quite a scary match after Paddy. But Terrence McKinney really putting himself out there in that lightweight division. He's got a real future. He's got some really good attributes. If the striking doesn't go well, he showed in this fight that he can go to the grappling, but obviously the striking was going well too. He hits like an absolute truck. His speed is absolutely ridiculous, and he showed everything in this fight. And there's the future is really bright for Terrence McKinney. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. It keeps on going, ladies and gentlemen. We're on to the prelims. The final prelims. We had 4 prelims. Sam Alvey versus Michał Oleksiejczuk. Man, oh man. We talked about it last week. Sam Alvey shouldn't have been inside the UFC. It was 6 losses and a draw without a win. It was just not looking good for him, was it? And we saw it. He came out and he was walking out, and his family was in the crowd, and it was just set up for disaster. Michał Oleksiejczuk dropping down from 205 pounds to 185 pounds to middleweight, and this guy's an absolute savage. And they paired him up against Sam Alvey, who's just not looking great. And it really showed. In the first minute he gets dropped, then the first 3 minutes he's finished. He's knocked out. He's got a broken jaw. He's got his leg crossed on his back, looking up at the stars, looking at the lights. It was a terrible, terrible situation for Sam Alvey. He shouldn't have been in there. Let's be honest. We're going to be honest, but the UFC gave him, their word of they're going to let him fight out the contract. And obviously he came up against Michał Oleksiejczuk, who was, if I believe, maybe ranked at light heavyweight once upon a time, and obviously fell some losses. But yeah, Sam Alvey should not have been in this fight, and it showed. Within 1 minute and 56 seconds, he was knocked out, broken jaw on the floor, and 2 minutes later, he was going to hospital. So it was ridiculous. Fantastic from Michal and Chechek. Did what he needed to do, and he just had no respect for Sam Alvey, and he just went in there and absolutely destroyed him. Fantastic performance from Michal. Interested to see where he goes from here as well. Maybe he could push into that middleweight rankings. There's some really good matchups, and he's in his natural weight class as well. So that's good for him as well. So moving on, Brian Battle. Wow, what an absolute performance. I was talking to Oscar before we went on the show. It was crazy because Brian Battle, his first amateur loss was at heavyweight, and he lost via the right high kick, and obviously won this one by the right high kick against Takashi Sato. I thought Takashi Sato was going to be too experienced, too good. If you look at Sato's last performance, he fought Gunnar Nelson, but I thought maybe the competition that they've recently been fighting, it's far too superior. Battle, obviously coming off a win against Trajan Gore. Trajan Gore, not the most skilled of middleweights. Obviously that was a middleweight in that one. Obviously this one's a welterweight, sorry. So this is his welterweight debut, and he looked fantastic, and he really asserted himself in that division. And Takashi Sato, I was talked about Gunnar Nelson. I just thought the experience factor would be maybe a little bit too much for Brian Battle, but he didn't let it. He didn't let it be too much. He landed that right high kick, and it was absolutely fantastic in round 1, 44 seconds. The lights were out in Japan. It was absolutely ridiculous. Takashi Sato, the speed of Brian Battle was ridiculous, and he really showed it. And it was, he's got good charisma, and he's really good on the mic, and he showed it. And he called out Ian Gary. Obviously, I saw terrible nightmare matchup for Ian Gary. I'm going to be honest. And yeah, fantastic performance for Brian Battle. Maybe breaking into his way into the welterweight division, the rankings in a few years, but he's got to take some hard fights, and I thought this was one, but he passed this one with flying colours. Moving over to Corey McKenna, the first Von Flute choke inside was women's history, I do believe. Obviously notoriously known as the OSP choke, or whatever you want, the Von St. Preux choke. But yeah, he's she got it done. She got it against Miranda Geringer. Obviously, McKenna, after our last performance against Elise Reed, I just really had no confidence in her game. I felt like she was always going to be overmatched in obviously the size, the reach. I feel like she was always going to be overmatched in her fights. But yeah, Miranda Granger, it just showed that obviously Corey McKenna, she's got some abilities about her. She's got some talent. But obviously, her arms and the reach and obviously the height she's always going to find some difficulty moving forward. But she got 3 out of 4 takedowns, and that's what really won the fight. And then when she got that Von Flute choke, it was absolutely beautiful. The second fight, it was good to see. A submission, a rare submission that we don't really see that much. So congrats to Corey McKenna, obviously, in getting it done for Wells. Absolutely beautiful. They're moving over to the first fight of the night. Bruno Silva getting it done against Stephanie Edgar. 1 minute and 17 seconds. This was a clamorous of a show. She got the submission, the armbar. Edgar was saying that she stayed quiet. To be honest, she was staying quiet. She was hoping that no one's seen it. To be honest, she was hoping that no one had seen the tap, and then I think out of nowhere they found a guy sat at the side. I think it was a judge, said that he saw the tap. Let's be honest, you could tell in the demeanor of Edgar that she had tapped. She was just hoping that no one saw it. Yeah, but you could tell in the way she reacted and the way, after the fight, she had tapped. And I'm just happy that obviously that the fight result went the way it should have went. Should have went. But yeah, Silva done well to get the job done. A fantastic armbar performance, and it was a good one. Edgar moved on, obviously getting the armbar, 2 losses back to back now, and obviously Bruno Silva getting that armbar. Yeah, what a fantastic event this was. If you look here, right here, right now, submission, armbar, submission from Flute choke, kick, punch, rear naked choke. This one's a TKO. Next one is an elbow between Julia Miller, and obviously had that absolute phenomenal knockout between Mohamed Usman, absolutely starching Zach Pauga, and then obviously Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal. It was set up to be fight of the night, set up to be an absolute war. Jeff Neal put on a fantastic performance, and obviously at the top of the bill, Jamil Hill getting it done against Thiago Santos, his best opponent to date, and he put on one of his best performances in his career. He had to dig deep in it. Round 4, both men were tied, and it was whoever wanted it more, and Jamal Hill got the job done in round 4. It was phenomenal. But yeah, that moves him up in the division. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Unfortunately, we still don't have Oscar. I don't think he'll be joining us for the rest of the show. There is a little emergency. But yeah, we'll move on the show. It is the March and Silva MMA show, but it is the March today. So we'll definitely move on. We got some good fights this weekend. And obviously, we had the Dana White Contender Series. If anyone watched the Contender Series, it was absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, we had last week, we had Chris Duncan getting it done in the main event against Charlie Campbell. A wild back and forth in that main event. Crazy. I'm just so happy for Chris Duncan. He's been on the show. We've talked to him. He's such a really good guy. I'm really glad he's got that UFC contract, that redemption of that first fight in the Contender Series. He got knocked out against Vladimir or I can't remember his name, or something like that. Borishev or some. He fought Mark DKC. I just forgot his name. I'm really bad with names. Oscar would be able to correct me if he was here. But yeah, he had the first chance and didn't go his way, and obviously the second one did go his way. And he's got the UFC contract now, so I'm glad it's finally going his way. He's a good guy. He's got a good family around him, and obviously good to see him getting it done. But yeah, that Contender Series last weekend was ridiculous. I think there was 4 contracts that might have been handed out. There's a new heavyweight that we have, and he's already booked. Waldo Acosta, I do believe, put on a fantastic performance against a tough Brazilian. Finished him. He's a former boxing champion, not champion, contender, I want to say. He's fought some good boxing. He's now transitioned over to MMA, so interesting to see how he gets on. But yeah, it was really good last week, and obviously we got some fantastic fighters out of that show. But yeah, we're swiftly. Obviously, we got PFL as well. We had PFL last week. We had such a good events last week. PFL, Stevie Ray getting it done in the main event against Anthony Pettis, just like our. I would say I knew he would, but it was a fantastic performance. That split, I do believe, or unanimous. But it was a really, really close fight, 29-28. But I'm just glad for Stevie Ray. Moves into that final. He gets a chance at $1 million in the PFL in championship. It's really good for obviously seeing these Europeans and these British guys getting these contracts, he was main eventing at Madison Square Garden. Ridiculous. Really proud to see him getting it done. But yeah, PFL was on last week. Fantastic event as well. Obviously top of the bill. Stevie Ray getting it done against Anthony Pettis. Phenomenal. And then we've obviously got this weekend's card. An absolute barn burner of a main event we've got, ladies and gentlemen, between Marlon Chito Vera and the former champion, Dominic Cruz. I mean, the main event alone is worthy of anyone's money. Obviously, it's fight night, so we don't have to pay. So that's always a plus. But yeah, this is a fantastic fight card. I love the main card. The co-main event is ridiculous too. But yeah, Marlon Chito Vera versus Dominic Cruz at the main event. And I've got to be honest, I do like Dominic Cruz. He's one of the first few fights I've watched. He's a legend. WEC back in the day, had some fantastic fights with Aldo, Faber. Really put his name in the map back in the day, but obviously fell off a little bit. Had that loss against Henry Cejudo, came back against Casey Kenny. In his last fight, he beat Pedro Munoz, and obviously now he's in a main event against Marlon Chito Vera. Marlon Chito Vera is on a totally different wavelength at the moment. If you look, where he's at the moment. In his last fight, absolutely decimating, destroying the face of Rob Font, putting a fantastic performance. And that's what I'm pretty much choosing Marlon Chito Vera. He's hungry, he's young. I think that the youth and the athleticism of Marlon Chito Vera is going to get him over the line in this one. Marlon Chito Vera, obviously, he hit the leg kicks as well. Are ridiculous. We saw it in the Sean O'Malley fight, completely shut off the ankle, and obviously we saw it in the Rob Font fight too. He likes to power them legs through, and they pretty much shut off anyone's cast. And obviously Cruz had difficulties in the Henry Cejudo fight, so maybe that's a way Marlon Chito Vera can look at in this fight. A target And I believe he will. And I think he's going to get the job done. I see this one going to the scorecards. And Martin Vera getting a unanimous decision win. This is going to be a really good one in the main event as well. This one is going to be definitely one I'm going to be tuning into, obviously. And obviously the next one as well. Nate Landwehr versus David Onana. David Onana made his debut against Mason Jones on short notice. He might have lost that fight, but he put on a fantastic performance. He showed the world what he's about. He came in as a heavy underdog, and he really put on a fantastic performance. A really durable performance. He kept coming forward, put on the pressure, and he wasn't intimidated or scared of the moment or the pressure. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of good things out of him that fight. And I guess Nate Landwehr, we've seen recently. Obviously, he's had a few losses. Had a loss against Herbert Burns. Off the top of my head, though, in his last fight. I can't remember who he fought, but we've seen him knocked out quite a few times, and that's what I think the fate might be this weekend. I think we might see him stopped. Oh, he got knocked out against Julian Rosa, and obviously got knocked out against Herbert Burns. David Onana in his last fight, which is only just a month ago, just over a month, against Garnett Armfield, arm triangle choke. Before that, Gabriel Benitez punches, standing TKO. He's going to get a finish here, and it's going to be against Nate Landwehr, and it's going to be maybe a standing TKO or something powerful, and Nate Landwehr is out cold, or maybe in a submission, because obviously Nate has been submitted in the past, but. David Onana is gonna finish Nate Landwehr in this one. I definitely think so. This is a fantastic corner. Nate Landwehr is always in a fight. He loves to fight. He loves to brawl. Definitely keep your eye on this one. This one's going to be absolutely phenomenal to watch in the main event. It's co-main event. Sorry. But we'll swiftly move on to Yasmin. If Oscar was here, he'll be able to correct me, but I'm going to call her Yasmin in this one against Lucindo, the Brazilian, coming into this fight. I think they're both making their debut, if I'm correct. Yeah, both making their debut inside the UFC. One's 8-0, one's 13-4. Yasmin fought in Combate Global. Only a few decisions in her career, and two doctor stoppages, 2 decisions, some KOs as well. And if you look at Lacedo, a few decisions, rear naked chokes, a few, but yeah, this one's a tough one for me to pick. To be honest, I'm not very knowledgeable of either women. This one's gonna be a tough one for me to pick. So, but off the top of my head, it's gonna be just out of it. I'm gonna go for Yasmin, the Mexican, to get this one done. She's 8-0, a lot of finishes, only a few decisions, but this one's gonna be good. Obviously. This one's gonna be good. I'm excited to see this one, but I'm gonna go with Yasmin, the Mexican, to get this one done. We'll move on to Devin Clark versus Murzakanov, the Russian. Devin Clark, obviously, we've all seen that picture of him, getting his teeth knocked out against. I can't remember who it was against. He got his teeth knocked behind him. Was it against Iron Kutalaba? Maybe Anthony Smith? Anthony Smith, yeah. And then obviously in his last fight against William Knight, he got that the elbows and the hooks to finish him. And if you look at Azmat Urikanov, in his last fight, he flying kneed Tafan Nchukwu, and then we'll see Contender Series knocked out Matthias Sheffield, who's on the PFL right now. Right hook, and he finished him in the ground and pound. But he knocked out flying knee with Tafan Nchukwu, which, if I'm correct to say, maybe a fight that he was losing up until the finish. And Devin Clark, obviously, as I talked about, beat William Knight. Lost to Iron Kutalaba, lost to Anthony Smith, lost to Ryan Spann. But other than that, he's beat some the guys he's meant to beat. He beat William Knight, beat Lonzo Menfield, beat Daquan Townsend, beat Dusko Stodic, Mike Rodriguez, Jake Collier, Josh Stounsbury. He's beat guys that he's meant to beat. But when he gets to these, he's valuable names, Iron Kutalaba, Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann, Alexander Rakic, Hambliovic, he's fell. And he's up against a tough prospect, 11-0, a Russian. This guy's going to bring it. And obviously, I feel like this is a tough one to pick. But I am going for Devin Clark in this one. He is the -300 favorite according to ESPN. Yeah, I like it. I like Devin Clark in this one. Oh, actually, no, I'm looking at the wrong odds. Yeah, excuse me for that one. Yeah, I don't know what what the odds are on him, but I picked Devin Clark. I think we could maybe see a fantastic performance from Devin Clark. He's lost it, obviously. If you look at his 6 losses, don't get put off by them. They are against some fantastic guys. As talked about, Jan Blachowicz, Anton Rakic, Brian Spann, Ian Kutalaba, Anthony Smith. Some really good names under the losses. So, yeah, I wouldn't look too much into that. I think Devin Clark can get it done. The wrestling, the striking, though, that's what really puts me off. But I think Devin Clark can really get it done. Moving on to the next fight, Silva Calvillo versus Nina Nunes. Nina Nunes, it's her chance to get one done. Obviously, Amanda, her fiance or wife, I want to say. I'm too sure. But yeah, it's her chance. Obviously, Amanda getting it done against Juliana Pena the other week, I mean. This one's good. Silva Calvillo, obviously not on the greatest run of form. 3 losses back-to-back, but neither is Nina Nunes. Silva Calvillo lost to Andrea Lee, where she kind of, on the stall, she kind of gave up. Jessica Andrade, she got stopped. Katie Kagan didn't really get into that fight. Nina Nunes, as of late, is 2 losses back-to-back. Mackenzie Dern, she lost via armbar. Tatiana Suarez. Yes, Tatiana Suarez. That was the last time I think we've seen Tatiana Suarez. Yes, indeed, it was. That was in 2019. Since then, we have not seen a Tatiana Suarez fight. It's crazy. The potential she had is ridiculous. Yeah, this one's a tough one for me to pick. But I don't know where Nina Nunes is at this moment. But then again, I don't know where Silva Calvillo is at this moment. A very, very tough one to pick, and it really showed on the odds. -160 favorite for Calvillo, +140 underdog for Nunes. I'm going to go with Calvillo. I just see the youngest, and obviously this one's just a tough one to pick. I just don't know where Nunes is at, and I think Calvillo is just going to edge out a really, really close split decision in this one. We'll swiftly move on to Bruno Silva versus Jared Mearshart, and this one's just an easy one. This one's an easy pick. Bruno Silva, I absolutely adore. His striking is good, and obviously against Jared Mearshart, he's a fantastic grappler. We've seen it in the past. Bruno Silva, his last loss, I do believe that might have been against Alex Pereira. Yeah, it was against Alex Pereira decision. Even though it went to decision, he had some moments in that fight standing as well. He had some moments standing in that fight. And that's what gave me a lot of confidence to pick him against Jared Mearshart. He knocked out Jordan Wright. He knocked out Andrew Sanchez. Knocked out Wellington Turman. This guy is a savage. He's only lost to, obviously, Alex Pereira inside the UFC. He has fought in the Ultimate Fighter, but we don't really count that. Jared Mearshart coming off a loss against Krzysztof Jotko, and I believe we're going to see him get 2 losses back-to-back. And I think Bruno Silva is going to finish him. He's got heavy hands. He's got crisp punching. He's very, very slick, and I think we're going to see a knockout in this one. Moving on to the prelims, Angela Hill versus Lupi Godinez. This one's a tough one to pick. Obviously, Lupi Godinez is a very, very likable character. We've seen her on the mic. She gets very excited. Obviously, Angela Hill as well. She's been inside the UFC for a very, very, very long time. Lupi coming off a win against Ariana Caralosi, Lumina Bume, a loss against Luana Carolina, where she stepped in at short notice, and me and Oscar both agreed that was such a not a wise decision. Stepping at short notice against Luana Carolina, the bigger woman, very rangy, and obviously it was like after a week's notice as well, which was incredible. Angela Hill, 13-12, not the prettiest of records, but if you look at all her fights, decisions, split decisions, it's just not looking great for her at the moment. A lot of the unanimous decision loss against Randa Daradova, where she really didn't get into that fight. Split decision against Amanda Lemos. Tisha Torres. She won a win against Ashley Yoda, Michelle Watson Gomez, Claudia Gardella, and Randa Marcos, Courtney Casey, Nina Nunes, Jessica Andrade. She's really fought the best of the best in the division. And Lupi has got a really, really tough test on her hands against Angela Hill. Obviously, we know how good Angela Hill is. when it comes to striking. But when she faces a grappler, that's where we see her tend to not have the best success, and that's what I'm predicting here. I'm predicting Angela Hill to not have the best success against Lupi and pretty much get, maybe not controlled, but Lupi's going to have success with the grappling. I think we know that, and I think that's what's going to maybe not make Hill hesitant when she's wanting to come forward and strike, and that's where she's going to have the downfall. But yeah, I'm going with Lupi Gundiez in this one. A tough one to pick, actually. I would say a gimme. Not gimme. A very even odds pick. So tough one to pick. I really want to bet on this one. This really could go different ways. Moving on to the next fight, got Martin Bidet versus Brzezinski. These names get harder every week. I say that every week too. This is a heavyweight fight. Everyone loves a heavyweight fight. Lucas Brzezinski obviously coming off an extended series fight where he won, I believe, by rear naked choke, but that one got overturned due to a positive test. So that's interesting for that one. Is he clean for this one? Does he need it to power him through? Martin Bidet getting a win over Chris Barnett. Oz obviously had a win on the extended series as well as Lorenzo Hood. A lot of finishes in his career. Punches are Kimura's, submissions. His only loss comes to Juan Espino, who we've seen inside the UFC, Spaniard. A very, very good fighter. This one's tough for me to pick, but I really like Martin Bidet in this one. This one's, yet again, really, really close fight, but I think Martin Bidet has all the means to get this done, only because Martin Bidet is the bigger man, but almost 30 pounds. Obviously, Lucas Brzezinski weighed in 234 pounds in his last fight. Martin Bidet came in 264. Even though they're heavyweights, that 30 pounds is going to be a massive, massive advantage for Martin, and that's where I see it playing a factor in this one. Moving on swiftly to the next one, Charlie. We got Krish in the chat. Let's go, Jam, KSR Boxing. Thank you for joining me. We did have Oscar on the show, but unfortunately he had a family emergency and he had to leave. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Shout out to KSR Boxing. They do some great content over there. They talk about boxing and obviously the news of Kell Brook. Maybe, see, I'm no good at boxing, to be honest. No good about talking about boxing, Krish. I want to say, is it Keith Turman called out Kell Brook or not Kell Brook? No, Conor Ben. Sorry, Conor Ben. Keith Turman called out Conor Ben. All right, that's it. Excuse my boxing knowledge. I bet you're so offended. I feel so bad for you. But yeah, Gabriel Benitez take on Charlie Ontiveros. Charlie Ontiveros, to be honest, he shouldn't be inside the UFC. I'm going to say it plain and simple. I'm going to let everyone know it as well. Charlie Ontiveros, obviously a huge, huge lightweight. He's absolutely ridiculous, ridiculously big for the division. 6'2", 76.5 inch reach. Appreciate you, Jump. Don't sweat it. And Keith is calling everyone out. I think he'll fight Danny Garcia next in a rematch. Interested. Obviously, I'm not very good at boxing, but obviously I heard Tyson Fury as well. He called out Derek Chisora. I think Tyson Fury needs to make his mind up off his staying retired, off he's coming out. But yeah, he's a money man. He knows how to build it up. So interesting. I think Gabriel Benitez, I'm going to keep a place. Gabriel Benitez is going to win this one, even though 2 losses back against Billy Contino and David Onama. But yeah, Charlie Ontiveros should not be inside the UFC. 2 losses back to back against Kevin Holland and Steve Garcia. This one's going to be easy not easy, but I think it's going to be a bit one-sided, lopsided for Gabriel Benitez, and this is a really good fight for Gabriel Benitez to get this one done. And then if we talk about good fights, the next one, Odi Osbourne versus Tyson Nam. This one's going to be an absolute barn burner. Very, very good fights on the flyweight division. Odi Osbourne, 2 back-to-back wins coming off Adeshev and C. David Vigueira. Tyson Nam, He's coming off a split decision loss against Matt Chanel. I like Odi Osborne. I'm gonna be straight. I like Odi Osborne in this one. I think the striking is very, very good. We've seen it against Jerome Rivera when he knocked him out. Obviously he got knocked out against Manel Cap, but I'm not looking too much into that. He also got submitted against Brian Kelleher, but I'm not looking too much into that. We know how powerful Tyson Nam is. We saw it against Adeshev fight. We saw it in the Jerome Rivera fight. Yeah, we know how powerful Tyson Nam is. When he gets his striking going and he lands, it could be a real problem for Odi Osborne. But I'm believing in Odi Osborne. I believe in the Jamaican, and I think he can get it done. It'll be a very, very close fight, and he is the favorite on the odds. But yeah, this one's a really close one. Moving on to the next one as well. Yusuf Salau. I mean, he's been so unlucky in his last few fights. If you look, 3 losses back to back, but he's fought some absolute savages. Sean Woodson, absolute savage. Split decisions. Song Woo Choi, absolute savage. Ilya Topuria, absolute savage. He started off his career inside the UFC with a really good run. Three wins back to back against Austin Lingo, Jordan Griffin, Peter Barnett, and obviously fell back to back to 3 losses as well. So he's 3-3 inside the UFC, and I think this is where he's going to pick it up once again. Yusuf Salau also talked about fought some absolute savages inside the UFC, and if you look at his opponent, Blackshear, he's been around the block. He's fought Pat Sabatini, Chris Martinia, Keith Richardson. He's fought Danny Sapatello. His losses are against credible guys, but I just see Yusuf Salau getting back in the win column, getting back to how he used to look. His striking is very clean once he gets it going, and that's how we're going to see it. If Yusuf Salau gets his striking going early and often, we're going to see him cruise to unanimous decision victory. But Blackshear, we don't know what to expect from him. 4 wins back to back, and a lot of them by submission. So Yusuf Salau, he's not been submitted since he has not been submitted in his UFC career or not in his MMA career. So that gives you hope of him being able to survive on the ground. So we're just going to have to see what Blackshear is all about on the ground. But I think Yusuf Salau, even if he does get taken down, he can get straight back up and get his striking going. Moving over to next fight, Ariane Lipski versus Pashera Casherel. This one was meant to be last weekend's fight, I do believe. If I'm correct saying, is there another fight? There should be. I thought Jason Witt was fighting Josh Quinlan. I'm not too sure where that one's gone. But yeah, Ariane Lipski versus Pasha Casherel. This one's obviously a tough one to pick. It could really go over way, but I think I picked Ariane Lipski last weekend, and I'm going to stay with that pick. Obviously, it fell through a few fights or a few days before the fight, but she beat Mandy Bone. But if you look at Pashera Casherel, lost to Junyoon Kim, beat Junyoon Kim. Sorry, could have went the other way. Lost to Gillian Robertson. She got submitted. But I'm going to go with the Queen of Violence. She called the Queen of Violence for a reason. And now we're going to see a lot of elbows inside that clinch. And she's going to piece up Casherel inside the clinch and get the job done and go to a unanimous decision victory. This card this weekend, it's not the most stacked. I don't expect to, obviously we had a fantastic card last weekend. So don't really expect too much. Don't expect 11 finishes out, 11 finishes again. It'd be really rare. So obviously, imagine back-to-back finishes. That'd be absolutely insane. But yeah, sorry for the disappointing episode. Obviously, we did have Oscar. He was there earlier on. He had to unfortunately leave due to a family emergency. So I do apologize for that. But I did carry on. I wanted to carry on. I wanted to get quickly give it out. Yes, obviously, we do have the Spotify listeners. Thank you, everyone, for obviously letting on Spotify. And obviously, we've got the YouTube listeners. There might not be many of you, but we'll see you out there. I know we've got more on Spotify, so if you check over on Spotify, Oscar always tells me that we have fans from the Philippines, I think he says, that regularly listen. It's crazy, and it's quite funny as well. So hello to the Philippines out there. If you're listening, make sure you tune in every week. We're always live on YouTube, Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. British Summer Time. And Oscar, I do believe, is 12:30 Central Time. I do believe, but obviously you can't correct me on that, so I'm not sure. But yeah, make sure to check us out. Christian, the chat, KSR Boxing. But it was great, man. I'll check it out, man. Need to get that MMA knowledge up. Absolutely. MMA is up. It's taking over. It's taking over. MMA is growing lengths by lengths every single fight. every single weekend, every single event. It's really good, a really good sport. But yeah, boxing, I just want to see the best of them fight the best, and I don't think you see it happen that much, and that's what sometimes it really pisses me off in sport. So, but yeah, I'll have a quick drink because I've been talking for a very long time. That's better. All right. Anyway, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Chris, thank you so much for joining the chat. Obviously, Mills as well, but at the top, Ian Toxicated as well. Thanks so much. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. From Lenny and from Oscar, a very goodbye. And we're tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week where we get to talk about obviously what happened this week.